They say it doesn't matter what your child is, as long as they're happy. But what if what they are is the problem? Tonight's story is written by Matt Looney, so settle in for An Ordinary Child. Sarah Peterson sat tired and patient in a strange doctor's office, hoping for a miracle. She was crying and tending to the tears with just a remnant of tissue pulled from her purse. Sarah's short black hair and clothes were clearly the last thing she had thought of before leaving the house, if she had thought of them at all. In fact, her whole appearance mimicked someone living off the streets and willing to sell anything from their shoes to themselves for a hit of their drug of choice. Sarah's case was different than her appearance might suggest, however. Sarah's drug of choice was peace and quiet. Just then, she'd heard a man's voice outside the closed door to the office. It was a soothing tone, and seemed to be speaking to the very southern accented nurse that had let her in minutes ago. The door opened, and Sarah quickly stuffed the damp piece of tissue back into her purse and clasped it shut. Standing up to meet this new doctor, he seemed like any other. The man walking in was probably in his mid-40s, with gray creeping into the brown that flowed down to his shoulders. Maybe he would be the one. Dr. Bennett reached out a warm and welcoming hand.
Mrs. Peterson, it's so nice to meet you.
His voice was like ambrosia to her.
Please, sit and tell me how I can help.
He motioned for her to sit down while he rounded the desk to take up residence in his own chair facing her.
How can I help you?
Well, her voice cracked. You're my last hope. I heard through a friend that you worked miracles with problem children.
Ah, so it's a child then.
Sarah began crying again and opened her purse in pursuit of the tattered tissue. In an instant, Dr. Bennett was holding up a clean tissue for her. She grabbed it timidly and wiped her eyes. Thank you.
Of course, Mrs. Peterson.
I just don't know what to do anymore.
Tell me about the little one,
he said. I don't know where to start, she confessed. When my husband and I decided to have children, all I thought about was a beautiful child that I would love and protect and take to soccer practice. I just wanted an ordinary child.
I see. So what has happened?
It's hard to explain. If she were just a normal fussy child, I think I could handle that, but Dr. Bennett leaned forward, obviously intrigued. When my child gets mad, it seems like the world shakes around us. Sarah let out a breath that she had been holding without even knowing it. And the way those eyes look up at me, so cold.
I'm sorry?
Dr. Bennett asked. She looked up at him with defeated eyes. I'm not crazy. I know what you're thinking, but I swear. Dr. Bennett rose from his seat, coming around the desk to sit on its edge, very close to her. He took her hand and looked deep into her eyes.
It's going to be all right,
he said with that calming tone he possessed.
We'll take care of everything.
Sarah's head slumped. You're going to lock me up, aren't you?
Not at all. I believe you completely,
he assured her. Her gaze sprung back up to meet his. You do? Her eyes started filling with tears again.
Absolutely. We'd be happy to have your daughter here at Phoenix Diagnostic,
he smiled. I must be tired, she said. I don't even remember telling you that it was my daughter. Dr. Bennett smiled warmly.
Of course you did,
he assured her.
I know you've been through this very trying time, So I'd like to get the healing started and you on your way to a happier self.
When can I bring her in? She asked.
I'd say the sooner the better,
He said, walking to the door. He opened it for her before she was even standing.
Why don't you go home and get her now?
1 hour later, the admitting nurse sat behind her desk near the sliding glass doors at the front entrance to Phoenix Diagnostic, thinking she was at the epicenter of a massive earthquake. Everything on her desk seemed determined to dance off the edge and into the floor. She had taken shelter under the desk, but then she heard the familiar bell that sounded when the glass doors opened. Helen sat up, risking a quick look over the desk to see Sarah Peterson carrying in a small girl who was clearly upset about something. The small blonde girl flung her arms about and struggled against her mother without saying a word. As they entered the building, it continued to shake from its foundation. Down the hall from where Sarah Peterson stood, still holding her child, Dr. Bennett bolted out of his office and approached the mother and child. He held his arms up towards the thrashing child, and his soothing voice split the air.
There now, that's enough.
As the words left his lips, the small girl immediately stopped thrashing and turned to face him in her mother's grip. She had gray eyes and tears streaming down her face.
It's okay,
he said, walking closer to the girl and her mother. As he walked closer, the tremors that shook them all began to waver, and then stopped altogether. As he reached them, Sarah shoved the girl into Dr. Bennett's open arms and started backing away. She kept backing away, only saying, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, over and over until she disappeared out the door.
What is your name?
He asked, his calming voice now echoing through the now silent waiting room. The little girl turned her gaze from the parking lot back to him, her tears drying on her cheeks.
Shelby.
Would you like to come with me and meet some new friends?
Dr. Bennett headed down the hallway to a door labeled Phoenix Group Number 1 on its frosted glass window. He opened the door into a large room with a desk and 26 small chairs set up in a semicircle filled with 25 small children. There was an empty chair at one end. Setting Shelby down, he said,
Why don't you take the free seat?
She gave him the slightest of smiles and headed to the empty chair. He walked around to the other end of the semicircle and over to sit on the edge of the desk facing them. As Shelby took her seat, he looked at each of them individually, from one identical face to another. Each child was female, all the same age, with blonde hair and gray eyes, looking up at him peacefully. Some hairstyles were different than others, but the faces were the same.
Now,
Dr. Bennett began,
you all know why you're here. All of your parents are very upset at your behavior.
His beautiful voice soaked the room.
So, what are we going to do about that?
New to the group, but definitely in sync with her new sisters, Shelby raised her hand and then spoke with a smile.
Kill them all?
His magical voice was even more intoxicating when he smiled.
Yes, Shelby. Yes, we will.
If you enjoyed this unsettling glimpse behind the doctor's door, be sure to like, comment, and follow. because sometimes ordinary is overrated. Sweet dreams if you can find them, and I'll see you next time here on Dead Time Stories HQ.